Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. Another episode of Char and Mike keeping it real. Hi, Char.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, man. I'm good, man. Nice to have you back and back doing our thing again. Just to honor Black History Month, I'm gonna just to let our viewers know that I'm gonna be doing quite a few episodes around things connected with Black history and just, whether it's around, role models, interracial dating and things like that. And today's episode is around interracial dating.
Mhm.
And so talk to me about experiences going back, like when you first started to notice different cultures and finding them attractive.
Well, actually, for my background, I'm half Guyanese and half Irish. So, growing up, I knew from young. Well, I used to ask my mum when I was little, like, why do I look so different? Why is it that I got brown hair? Why have I got olive skin? And my siblings didn't. They're all blonde hair and blue eyed, and then there's little green eyed,
Yeah.
brown haired woman here, as a child. So I knew from very early onset that there, I looked different. So I just questioned it, and then my mum explained everything to me. So I kind of knew from pretty young. There's there's loads of different cultures, and my mum never hid that from any of us anyway. Even my siblings, always respect people for who they are, not where they're from. And when you do know where they're from, if it is from a different culture, then embrace it, get involved, enjoy it, and learn. So when I started dating, when I first got into a relationship with a man from a different culture, I kind of just fitted in, really. I was a bit nervous as well at first, to be fair, when it come to meeting the family.
Mm.
But I think that was just more so my own kind of reservations, in the sense of, would I be accepted because I'm of a mixed background? Would they like me? I think it was more kind of my own insecurities, really. And I was very, very nervous. I was thinking, how are they going to, how am I going to be looked at, but then I just remembered that actually I'm in a relationship with their son, So I found it pretty easy. I always look at people as for who they are, and not their background. And so I just kind of just got on with it, really. I liked them for who they were, not of their skin tone, or the different culture. I
Did
just
you,
went.
did you ever come against any challenges from maybe that guy's family or friends or anything like that because of the color of your skin and your background? Did you ever have any into any conflict?
Yeah, I did. I got into conflict myself when I was pregnant with my daughter. I had they weren't a friend, but I thought they were a friend at the time.
Yeah.
And we'd actually just had a falling out over something, I didn't like about their character and how they were towards other people. So I just naturally just removed myself. So halfway through the pregnancy, I literally had just gone to the shops and I'd seen them. And so I was just I went into the shops, just ignoring him. And then he just wanted to start an argument. And I'm just thinking, I'm 5 months pregnant here. I'm not in the mood. I'm tired. My back's hurting. just I don't want to talk with you. And then he started being racist to me. he was calling me all the derogatory words that I used with, you know, in racism. He's like, you're gonna have a black baby, you're this, and that was just being polite. I'm not going to use the derogatory words. Anyone with any common sense will know the words that unfortunately people, you know, men and women of a black background have been victimized too, sadly. So in the end, truth be told, I picked up a road cone and I whacked it across him. I did. And the shopkeeper, he came out and he was like, how dare you be racist and this and the other. And it was just kind of a crazy day. And then when I came back home upset, I was telling my mum's Irish, and you know, she suffered, you know, she like nation and everything else, being an Irish lady. And then for some weird reason that same day, the next door neighbor, she then started being racist to me. You know, my baby, you know, saying you're going to have da-da-da, da-da-da-da. You know, I don't want to use the words because I don't like the words that we use.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
And it really upset me. And I'm like, Mum, I can't deal with this. You know, I've just went to the shop and just been, you know, racially abused.
Yeah.
And now the next door neighbor's doing it, you know, and then but her husband kind of intervened. And like, I mean, because I went for her, I'm not even gonna lie, I went for her. Hormones, you know, at the time, hormones plays. I didn't really think, you know, hang on a minute, Charlotte, you're pregnant. I'm just thinking, you racist cow, you know, I'm gonna just really just defend myself here. You're trying to attack me, so I'm gonna attack you. And then the husband kind of stepped in and you could hear him really kind of having it out with her in an argument. Like, how dare you? That's been our neighbour for how many years? Why would you say that about her unborn child and her herself being of a mixed culture? And it kind of really, really upset me. But I found over the years, because I said, I mean, I love culture. I do. I just get involved. I get my hands dirty, as they say. I just find it interesting. You know, I can't be that plain Jane. I don't mean that disrespectfully to anybody else. But I like to get involved. I like to learn.
Yeah,
I like
to, yeah.
When there's parties, I'm straight on that dance floor. I don't care.
I was just gonna say, in regards to your daughter, have you kind of told her about maybe discrimination she could face growing up, and you know, made her aware of that? I don't know, kind of.
Well, she suffered it herself. It's like, you're not black, you're not white, you don't know where you're from. And it was my nan actually that said to me when I was pregnant, Charlotte, when your daughter's born, she's going to have it tough at times. And I was a bit kind of like unsure at the time, thinking, what are you talking about? And she's like, Charlotte, she's going, just like you suffered a little bit, she's going to suffer twice as much, because people are not going to, people out there are not going to see her as a beautiful little child. You know, they're going to look at her as, oh, she's a little black child or mixed race being nice. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit ignorant, because in my mind, I'm a bit naive. I'm like, no, you know, people are going to love her for who she is. She, you know, we're all different people. And I was naive. And she was right. And she, you know, she was absolutely right, because she suffered it herself. And then my daughter suffered it. You know, my daughter's, you know, there's been an old man in his 70s that's been racist to her. She's had kids her own age of different cultures be racist to her and discriminate her. And it's quite appalling. And it's just sad that we still, you know, we're in a society where this still exists. Yeah, I do believe there is only one human, you know, one race, which is the human race. To, you know, for me, as far as I see it, is that if you're good to me, I'm good to you. You know, and if any friend of mine, you know, I will get, if you're from a different background, you can bet I'm getting involved. You know, I'm there. I'm trying the different foods. I'm partying. You know, when I go abroad, and you know, I just embrace it all. I mean, What about you? Have you ever, faced any discrimination, racism?
Yeah, let me give a bit of background to when I started dating back in, I'm not going to give the years and stuff like that to give away my age.
Well, I think the gracious stage.
Yeah, back in the day, it was within my community, the West Indian community. It was frowned upon. You couldn't really date outside of your culture, and it was seen as a disrespect to other Black women. So at school and things like that, even if I had, if I liked a girl of a different culture or background like that, I couldn't kind of make that away. It was a taboo thing. It was something that was frowned upon by. That's the interesting thing about what happened later on as I got into college and things like that. It all changed and it was seen as a great thing, dating outside of your culture. So it's weird, but within my community growing up, that was frowned upon. It wasn't, it was not the preferred thing to do. If you're dating, you should be dating within your culture. So, as I went to college and things like that, I saw that people were just doing whatever they wanted. So then I was getting attention from women from other cultures and things like that. So I thought, why not try dating, going out with these different women? And yeah, I was just the funny thing is though, in the kind of mindset, my mindset was give everyone a chance and don't judge them just because they're from this culture, that culture. It's about people and whether you connect and their energy and what you find attractive about them as well as just their looks.
Yes.
So, I've always been open to that, but in my mind, funny enough, even though coming from that environment that was frowned upon and not allowed at that time, we're talking, that was a while ago. So I remember how bad it was at times. If it was a woman from another culture or what have you, you'd be going to like far out locations or something like that to meet up with these women because you'd hope you wouldn't get spotted by people that knew you and things. That's what I mean, how
yeah, not
extreme, how extreme it was. And yeah, I remember that you couldn't do it anywhere near home. I mean, I'll go like travel miles maybe to date someone or something like that and go and see them if I wanted to. I was like, yeah, it ain't worth it because the shit I'm gonna get in my in my neighborhood if that happened. So yeah, you should do stuff like that. It was weird, very different. And as I said, as I got older, it was more accepted and more of a thing that it didn't matter. So but yeah, ideally that's what kind of, that was what I grew up on. So then it changed because I always was attracted to different women from all over. And like everyone knows about the West Indies, we're definitely a mix. So
yeah.
like further back I've got Chinese in my family and further back I've got Indian in my family. And
That's
obviously
like my
as well.
He has Chinese in his ancestry and other cultures. But what was your turning point? How did you feel when you approached your family and said, look, this is my girlfriend, or the first time you brought a female home to your parents from a different culture? How did you find that? Was you really nervous? Was you concerned that they wouldn't accept her? Would it kind of make the relationship difficult?
I didn't care. I was I know it sounds like that, but I'm just thinking back, I didn't really care. I was a bit like my dad, let him rest in peace. But he's very his own man and does his own thing. So I was the same. I was just like, this is who I'm dating. And it was a lady from the Philippines. That was a girl from the Philippines I was dating. My first girlfriend from another culture that I brought home was she was from the Philippines. So I didn't care. This is like my girlfriend. I introduced her to my mom and my sister at the time, I think it was. And then she met like other siblings over the time that we were together. And yeah, I didn't really care how they were. I was really like that age group I was. How old was I then? I think it was early 20s or something was the first time I brought like a woman from another culture home.
That's
And
many years ago then.
yeah, I know it's difficult when I'm searching for those memories. They're so far back. Just trying to remember the detail of all that. But no, it was so I didn't care. I didn't care about this. I was just a bit like, you know, in my 20s and stuff. I was the type of person. I was just like, look, I'm earning my own money now. Yeah, I still stay at home, but I'm paying you rent and doing whatever. So don't tell me about who I can date now.
Yeah.
You know, I've been told, you know, most of my life before that about who I can date or what was accepted within my community.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, I'm not having any of that because I'm my own man now. So don't try and tell me about who I can date. So I just did my own thing from that point onwards. I wasn't nervous. It was weird because thinking back, I wasn't nervous at all. I was like, yeah, you know, meet my girlfriend, mum, blah, blah, blah. And just went straight upstairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, do you know what? To be fair, I mean, I had a similar mindset. I didn't care. Do you know what I mean? Charlotte done what Charlotte wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? But thankfully, you know, my mum, you know, I inherited that open mind and, you know, the embracing other cultures from my mum. You know, she's been very she's a very open woman and she'll accept you for who you are. And I think because she grew up, you know, in that similar era, you know, of no Irish, no blacks, no dogs, you know,
Yeah, I
she
remember.
her hardships. Believe it or not, she had her hardships. You know, she had to hide the Irish accent in primary school so she could be accepted. You know, she went through multiple things. So we just kind of, so when I you know, brought, you know, my first ever boyfriend home, who was from a different culture, she was just like, hi, how you doing? What do you want to eat? You know, she just, where are you from? You know, and she was eager as well. She just wanted to know, you know, and she'd say to you, listen, I don't know how to cook that food, but do you know what? This is what I can cook. You know, she was always very accommodating. And yeah, and that was that. Do you know what I mean? It's just got on with it. And then obviously as I got older, old friends, I don't see them anymore. You know, you outgrow people, don't you? You know, they used to say, oh, Charlotte, you know, when it comes to relationship, you like a black man. I'm like, excuse me? Like, you know, you just like, did I hear that right? You know, is there something stuck in my ears? They cut a wall. And I used to be like, well, with the black, Asian, Indian, white, what's the problem? And they'd be like, oh, we're just joking. And I would get really defensive. And I'd be like, listen, I don't care what you think. I will date who I want to date. And you know, you're not having a relationship with them. And I think I think some of it also stemmed from my childhood, because, you know, when there were people that would discriminate against me, I think it really kind of, you know, when I hear things like that, it triggers me. It triggers me, and because I don't like it, and I think like there's no need for it. Do you know what I mean? There is just no need. You know, actually, you might find that their culture is more interesting than yours. You know?
I hear that. Did you ever get like looks or remarks made when you were out in public with your other half at the time?
Yeah, I did from all cultures, truth be told. All cultures. I found like with the relationship that I previously had, it wasn't even so much the parents of, it was actually like you know, like his siblings, you know, that wouldn't want to really accept me. And if they did, they would keep me at arm's length. And I used to think like, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't smell or anything like that, you know. But it's because I wasn't either fully white or fully black. And so I found that I would get, you know, that I'd get it from, you know, the family members, or yeah, you would get people on the streets that would look at me. But with the people that I didn't know, I didn't really care, you know. Whereas in the relationship, I would care more about what the family would think of, like their family, not my family. You know, my family just, you know, open. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't like it. I didn't like it, you know. And I would hear comments like, "Oh, you know, my brother's with a white woman," you know. And I used to be thinking like, yeah, you know, what's the point you're making? That's what I used to think in my mind, you know, in my earlier years. And it did used to get upsetting at times, but then you kind of like, you know, create a hard, you know, shell, and you just think, do you know what, everybody's going to have their opinions. And as you see now, it's, you know, in modern day society, that it is very much the norm now. You know, you get cultures dating within their own culture. You see cultures dating other cultures, and I think, I do honestly believe, hand on my heart, that, you know, if you're going to meet somebody and you're happy, then so be it, you know, and it doesn't matter where you're from. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, I mean, what about you? I mean, like,
Yeah,
obviously you're
yeah,
married to a woman outside of your culture.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
except,
Not so much now. What it did remind me of was a conversation I had many years ago with a black female friend of mine who was she got really upset about the fact I was open to dating outside of my culture. I remember having this real talk, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of it was issues with herself at the time, and maybe something had happened or whatever. She'd maybe been through something traumatic in a relationship or something like that. But anyway, I just remember having this real conversation, but about, and she was really upset the fact that I was saying, yeah, it's okay, and kind of you should be able to date who you wanted to type thing. And she would hit. I'm going to revisit this because it's an interesting topic. I'm going to get some other people on and have another episode talking about this type of thing. But she was really disappointed that a lot of the black men, she thought the black men were being taken away, and there wasn't enough decent black men left for black women. So that was me toning it down, because she was very angry. So there's a lot of swearing and stuff involved in that, in the way she communicated this to me. But she was very upset. So now, and I was like, yeah, you know, that's a shame, and things like that. So it is it just reminded me of that conversation, but it did get me thinking. It did get me thinking about kind of the older I got, where I was hanging out and the environments I was in, where I was meeting more different cultures because of those particular environments I was in. I wasn't anymore going to these soca raves and things like that, or the bashment raves I used to go to. And then it got me thinking about, maybe this is why I'm meeting more people from different cultures, meeting more women from different cultures, because I'm not around them as much. I'm not involved in that, you know, in that environment as much as I used to around my own people. So yeah, it got me thinking. And it's good because you then reflect on, you know, is there some truth to that? Is that the thing that our heads are turned as black men, that we're not focusing on something
no,
right in front of us? But you think about that, and it's good to have an open mind. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying it's good to have an open mind and think about the bigger picture.
it definitely, it still does exist. You know, there are women that do say like, oh, you know, other cultured women are taking our men, and things like that. And so there is definitely something that's more deep rooted, which I think we can have on another podcast. Absolutely explore it, because I've you know, experienced, you know, I've had a female friend similar as well. Like, you know, she doesn't like the fact that, you know, black men or Asian men go outside of the culture. You know, and it is very interesting. But I think at the end of the day, you know, your heart's going to go where your heart's going to go. Do you know what I mean? So, and as I said, you know, we have to keep an open mind. So, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think now about, I know it's slightly off topic, but it's not. So what do you think about when you've heard like Wales now? Wales have made it mandatory now that Black history, Asian Indian, all different cultures are to be, sorry about that, something happened. It's now made mandatory in schools.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's great.
Something should have been done many years ago.
Absolutely.
Oh.
They get I do hope that the schools teach the real history.
That's the thing as well. There's so much to it. Our history, just even talking about Black history, never mind Asian. There's so much depth to it beyond slavery. The original kings and queens, and the Moors. There's so much more and depth to our history. Yeah, it should have been taught a long time ago. And when we talk about racism and what will help, when I've had other people from other cultures reach out to me, I've always said it starts with the education.
Mm-hmm. Have you been victim of racism?
Yeah, over the years, definitely. Growing up, West London, when I was growing up, yeah, all sorts. Called the N-word, graffiti, written on walls. We had it when we first moved into our family home in West Kensington. Yeah, they used to put graffiti on the walls, chuck poo through the letterbox, all sorts. My parents got and we got as being Black kids, and we were the first Black family in that neighborhood, so we used to get all sorts.
How did you, because it's an important question, so for anybody that is watching this podcast that doesn't really kind of understand the severity and the impact of the cultures that suffer, the Black cultures, how did that make you feel? That's a question that I'm going to put out there. How did that make you feel, knowing that you were suffering all of that, you and your family?
It made us feel like outsiders and that we didn't belong, that we weren't worth anything. It made us feel like we were nothing, and it's a horrible feeling. So yeah, for years we just kept ourselves to ourselves, didn't speak to anyone around us. From where my parents used to live before we moved there, that's where we used to have friends and hang out and places like that, which was just up the road, to be honest. Was like more full on my but yeah, you feel like nothing. You feel like you're not, lack of self-worth, self-love, everything. You feel like you feel like you're bottom of the pile when it comes to people and being respected, and stuff like that, which was horrible. I remember those thoughts. That was awful. And if I used to hear the N-word, it used to make you feel like you were nothing. So yeah, that was a horrible time. I remember that. And you got better as the years went on, of course. And obviously you can't, you can see, I still feel it though. You still feel it when people, you're not accepted by people and stuff. That just won't tell you that, but you get it from the energy and what they give off. So, but it was horrible, but you just get on with it. You just say, look, this is my place, and you try and make it, I was born here, so it's not like send you back to the motherland or wherever, like they used to say to us. But
it's quite sad though. It really is.
You just get on with it, and you build a life for yourself, and what it does is awful, but what it does is build resilience. It hardens you. It makes you tougher against that. And when people bet against you and don't believe you can amount to much, it makes you push for more because of what you went through. So that's what I gained from that. And when you look at your history, you've got to delve into your history as well. You start looking beyond racism and look back further, and you see that we had everything, and we still do in Africa and places like that, and you still got really successful Black people and things like that around the world. So you see that what you can become and what we have and what we had, and so you don't feel like you're not worth anything. It's just these people's opinion of you, and it's a minority, it's not everyone.
No, and we have to make that clear on this podcast that it is not everyone. you know, and that racism does exist in our own cultures as well as out. Let's please, you know, make this very clear on this podcast to anybody that is watching. But no, back to what you're saying, it's very sad that you kind of had to become resilient to that. And it's sad that, you know, you've had to become hard, you know, create a hard exterior shell. Because I mean, it really saddens me, to be fair. It really does. And especially when you see young children doing it as well, still to this day. You know, I look at my daughter and I have had to say to her, like, you're going to have to work a lot harder. You know, you're going to have to work twice as hard. So yeah, with Sienna Rose's life as she gets older, she will have to work twice as hard. As I said, no matter how educated she will become, there is always going to be somebody that's not going to employ her because of the color of her skin.
Yeah,
I hope and pray it doesn't happen, but I'm not 100% optimistic. Do you know what I mean? I would rather prepare her so she knows to expect that, but at the same time, you hope it doesn't ever come to that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because that's just the way I feel that, you know, it is. And the experience from my nan, you know, what she went through, and her seeing my mum have to defend me from being from a different culture. You know, there is truth in that. There is so much truth in that. So, and she did say she will have to work twice as hard. And I've seen it for myself now. And I believe it. So she will know. And
it's true, because I've been there myself, where people judge you for the color of your skin first when they're going into interviews or you know, looking for promotions and things like that. Unfortunately, it does exist. I'm not saying everyone does, but it has happened to me, and I felt it, and I felt the weight of that. But you know, the main thing is there. All you say to yourself is, I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to be who I am as a person, as an individual, and their stereotypes or whatever. The best thing you can do, hopefully, you know, you surprise them and you make a difference, and then, you know, that makes an impact on people that maybe were ignorant to the fact that, you know, we're all individuals, and the color of our skin doesn't determine the type of person we are or what we stand. So,
it's about staying true to yourself and being proud of who you are and where you come from.
100%. Char.
Yes, Mike.
Great episode. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for putting me in the red chair today.
There's going to be more like that this month. Trust me. We're going to be up to all sorts of things for Black History Month. It's important, you know.
And everybody, please catch us on our live on Instagram this Thursday at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. we're going to do it. We're starting it off. It's going to be a, you know, fortnightly thing, and then hopefully once a week. So yeah,
come on the live, and yeah, let's have a great chat, and look forward to seeing everybody, and you, of course, Mike.
People, please like, share, and subscribe the video. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Peace.
Take care. See ya.